All right, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for the 2nd of October, 2024. Flyers Daily, as always, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Flyers wrap up preseason game number 6 against the Boston Bruins. Final score, Boston 4, Flyers 1. As Flyers drop to 3-3 now on the preseason. 1 preseason game left. Single digits to the regular season. 9 days until the Flyers take on the Vancouver Canucks coming up on October 11th, 10 p.m. to start off the season and get things underway for real. But the game last night, let's start there. And we're going to get to people's expectations in a minute. Flyers outshot in the game 34-14, but Sam Ersson kept them in it. Boy, he has been really, really impressive this preseason. He looks, look, I get these games don't mean anything. I get that they're just preseason games and all that. But he has looked like one cool cucumber so far in this preseason. He is not overplaying any threats against, has looked really calm and under control, moving extremely well. You could tell he's seen the puck really well. He stopped David Pastrnak, I know 2, maybe 3 times point blank. And David Pastrnak's one of the elite shooters in this league. So Ersson looks really dialed in. A lot of times, goaltending's not really that dialed in during the preseason. 1, because structure is not super predictable in front of them, and then 2, goalies haven't really been able to simulate a lot of gameplay and really kind of get their game in order. But he's come in and looked really, really sharp, and that's a great thing for the Flyers to see, to look sharp this early on. And look, you're going to need 2 right out of the gate. You got a back-to-back at Game 1 and Game 2, Friday and Saturday, Vancouver and Calgary. So you're going to have to get quality starts from whoever's backing up, whether that's Fedotov or Kolosov. We'll see how that plays out. I have a feeling Kolosov maybe gets the game coming up on Thursday against the Devils, because they're basically going to be icing an AHL team coming up on Thursday, because their NHL team is going to be playing over in Prague. But I digress. Last night was kind of the dress rehearsal. Not a true dress rehearsal, though, too. Traveling in the day of a game, like they did in Montreal, is not ideal. They're never going to do that in the regular season. So, look, yeah, the game last night wasn't very appealing, but whatever. It doesn't matter. The 1 goal they scored, Travis Konechny, what a smart play by Matvei Michkov. Michkov does a couple of things on this goal that I think go under the radar or unnoticed. Number 1, he's not shooting the puck to score. And you go, well, isn't the idea every time you shoot the puck to score? Not necessarily. The idea is to create offense that is the highest percentage of the play, the rush, the attempt, whatever you want to call it, provide the highest danger chance that you can. And sometimes shooting the puck and not shooting to score is going to create a higher percentage scoring chance. And that's exactly what Michkov does here. He does 2 things really well. Number 1, he goes in, and it's clear he's got a decent scoring opportunity from a high-danger spot in the top of the slot. But he waits. He waits for Konechny, that play to develop, because he's not shooting to score. He's waiting till Konechny gets in a position where he can affect 2 things: the Bruins goaltender and how he makes the save, and that Konechny puts himself in position for the rebound, which is what Michkov is shooting for. So Michkov is going to shoot the puck into the pad in an area where Stuzzi can't do 2 things. 1, he can't just eat it into his body by going down into a butterfly, and he can't get it with his glove and kill the play. He shoots it into his pad, creating the rebound, which Konechny is right there to pot home. So the key element, though, of waiting until Konechny gets to the right spot to time it right is such an underrated hockey IQ play from Michkov. Very good play. And the Flyers tie the game at that point, and that'd be the only goal they got. But they didn't generate a ton of offense in this game. I thought that, even Michkov looked tired. Everybody kind of looked tired in the game. They chased it all night. And I think you'll have that when you travel in the day of a game. Traveling in the day of a game is ridiculous. You can't have a morning skate and then go to the airport, fly to Boston. It's not like you're flying to, Pittsburgh, which is basically up in the air and then back down. It's a little bit further of a flight. Not that it's a far flight, but you can't do that on game day. But anyway, Flyers lose 4-1. Is what it is. But real strong performance from Ersson and really savvy play from Matvei Michkov. Boy, and I did like to see that line out there of Michkov, Frost, and Konechny together too. I don't know if that'll be a regular thing during the season. Obviously, that line has got a ton of offense, not a ton of defense, and you're going to need to defend. But if you need to get offense in a game and you put those three together, they're very likely going to provide it. So that's the good news. And we've also seen some creativity with the coaching staff, putting Michkov on the left side and putting Frost with Konechny and Michkov. The game started with Michkov, Frost, and Tippett, and Couturier, Konechny together. Lachenko played once again. I think he looked like he's hit a little bit of a wall. I know he was really good in the beginning of the preseason, and playing these games like we talked about, as preseason goes on, you're going to face more legitimate NHL rosters and the teams you're playing, and that'll be the true heart, the kind of where he is. And I imagine he's going to be sent back to Guelph, and it doesn't mean that he's not going to be whatever your expectation of the player is. Very few players come in and just jump right into this league in their draft year. He's a very exciting player, but it's probably not going to be for this season. He did some little things I liked in the game. He doesn't panic. One of the things that has impressed me about his preseason the most is that probably at every level since he's been 12, his skating has just been better than everybody else's, faster. And a lot of times that's something young players need to learn when they level up, is that they can't just get away with just being the skater that just skates himself out of jail all the time and just guides his play. He's got a lot of nuance to his game and detail already, which is rare. Having that nuance is something usually you have to develop, because you got to realize, I'm not going to be able to just skate in the NHL. I'm going to have nuance to my game. He's got that already. He's got a lot of nuance. So that's a good thing. So Jetlachenko has been just so impressive. I thought he did look a little tired in the game last night. I mean, everybody did, but he certainly did as well. And I think he's looked a little tired as we've gone on later into this preseason. Let him go back to junior. Let him dominate. Let him play 20 minutes a night and do everything for Guelph. That is not a bad thing. All right. Next thing I want to get to is I had put out a tweet. We talk about expectations a lot. And how do you come to reasonable expectations? Well, we're winding down the preseason now. Essentially, the preseason's over. Thursday's game is going to be whatever it is, right? So we've learned a lot in this preseason. Not everything, but we've learned a decent amount. Just because Sam Ersson's been really good in the preseason, does that quell my concerns about goaltending? No, it doesn't. And I think you heard Torts talk about it yesterday. Torts said, even though I love Sam's mental game, I don't know how he's going to react to being the man. I don't know that yet either. I don't know how Fedotov is going to assimilate and adapt, or if it's Kolosov at some point. I don't know any of that. But we have gotten more information, and I've always said this: just because you set an expectation in the beginning of a season doesn't mean it can't change. Expectations are fluid based on more information that you gather. But we have more information now than we did 3 weeks ago. We have more information now than we did 2 months ago before the draft and free agency and all. So we have more information. So I wanted to ask Flyers Twitter. I said for tomorrow's Flyers Daily episode, this episode you're listening to or watching, as the Flyers preseason winds down, what are your expectations for the 24-25 Flyers? So let's get to some responses. We got some bit heavy hitters jumping in right away. John Kincaid from 97.5 The Fanatics says, meaningful games in April. Well, the regular season is set to end April 17th. But I wonder if John means meaningful games beyond April 17th, i.e. playoffs. We'll see. Our former coworker, Hunter Brody, Says TK pops 40 with an improved power play. That's an expectation. TK could do that. 33 last year. That's a big number, 40. I would have never thought of TK as a 40-goal scorer, but I don't find that to be out of line and don't find that to be impossible. Tim Tobin, at Tobnator, frequent tweeter to the program, he says, my expectations are simple. Be in a position at the middle of March where it's expected to win meaningful games, not just survive certain stretches. Learn from last year. The step forward is attainable with this group. I agree. Again, some certain things have to fall into place. Some of the bigger question marks, whether that's the health of Jamie Drysdale, the start of the season for Sean Couturier, whether that's goaltending, whatever that, power play improving, penalty kill being what it was last year. I'm not saying it has to score as many short-handed goals, but still be a big element of this team's success, having a good PK. And often that comes down to goaltending as well. Let's get to instigators. He says Mishkov shows he's started in making 51 points. A goalie gets traded, as does Lawton and / Risto traded near the deadline. Instigator is hung up on Sam Ersson, having this gut feeling Sam Ersson gets traded. I don't see it. It doesn't make sense. You have to have cost certainty, especially when you're up against the cap. He said Flyers even get closer but miss the playoffs again. Forcer takes a huge leap forward in goals and still great defensively. Forcer had 20 last year. Can he get 28? Yes, I think he can, provided the power play's improved. I will tell you that on the game-winning goal last night against Boston, the Tyler Johnson goal, it was a power play goal for Boston, and Forster overcommitted way too far to the middle and to the strong side of the ice, and that's what left Tyler Johnson open. So I don't know if he'll be killing penalties or not, but that is something I can see him do, is scoring more goals. Jared says Yoffs at the Farg. In other words, playoffs at Wells Fargo Center. Josh White says, I expect a similar season as last with hopefully more growth. He said, I think Mishkov will provide the spark they need, especially on the power play. This team is roughly the same minus Carter Hart, so it'll likely come down to goaltending. Ersson has looked solid in preseason, but we shall see. Very well stated. It's a good job by Josh. And I agree with that. I think that if this team's going to make the playoffs, they've got to get the goaltending. They've got to get solid and consistent goaltending, and not just from the number one, not just from Ersson. You got to get it from your backup as well. You can't go through 82-game season and not get quality starts from your backup. Just can't do it. Tommy Tsunami says, I like to see the young guys take another step forward. I want to see how Farabee and Frost answer the doubters. Great point. Jamie Drysdale will be interesting to watch as well. He said, if the goaltending holds up, I think they could be in the mix for a playoff spot. As I just stated, we are on the same page. Brian Gartside says, power play percentage improves to the middle of the pack due to Mishkov and a healthy Drysdale. He said, solid 5 to 6 seed in the East. 5 to 6 seed. So who are the top 3 teams in the Metro? Rangers, probably Carolina, although I'm a little shakier on what they are. Who's that third team in the Metropolitan Division? Is it the Devils? Is there question marks around it? Devils should be one of those top 3 teams. It's not Pittsburgh. It's probably not Washington. I don't believe it's the Islanders. You're playing for a wild card spot. If you're looking at it that way, and then you're competing with obviously the top 3 teams in the Atlantic Division. I think it's going to be the Leafs, Panthers, and probably Boston, provided they get the Swayman situation taken care of. But then you're competing with Tampa Bay, Detroit, Ottawa, and Buffalo. It's tight. It's going to be tight. There's no doubt about it. Smitty says, finished 7th in the Metro with 86 points. I don't think 86 points puts you 7th out of 8 teams in the Metro. Draft 10th overall. Tippett with 30 goals. Konechny with 33 goals. Low 70s in points. Mishkov has 24 goals. Rookie points leader, high 50s. And a Calder winner. Drysdale plays near 82. Ties his best points per season at 32. And improves defensively. If they do those things, if Tippett gets to 30, Konechny's 33, low 70s in points, Mishkov has 24 goals, and wins the Calder, and Drysdale plays 82 games, they're a playoff team. They're not finishing 7th in the East unless they just can't stop the puck. Matt Linkner says, I think it's concerning if they don't get 85-plus points, and I agree. He said it either means the goalies were not good, which is concerning, especially for the future, or the skaters didn't improve, also concerning. The playoffs may be harder to get into this year, but the points should be similar. I think the playoffs will be harder to get into. It won't be 89 points. I think it'll be 92, 93 will be the cutoff. But can they get there? That's the question. Joseph Schumacher, I expect this season to be must-watch. Most excited I've been for a season ever. Wow. I'd be interested to know how old you are, Joseph. Cannot wait to watch Mishkov, Drysdale, Forster, etc. develop alongside the vets. Not expecting playoffs, but continued development and flashes of greatness, especially from number 39. Well stated. Quinn the Eskimo, Mishkov is what we hope for, but we will have some tough times through the season. He will have some tough times through the season. Some vets will be moved in trades. Flyers will miss the playoffs. We'll see. And last one, Bobby Rideout, with a nice Canadian flag there, says, well, they almost made the playoffs last season, and they are improved this year and a bit younger. I think getting in the playoffs is definitely attainable, but I wouldn't expect much more than that. A better home record would be nice as well. Interesting. Let me see what their home record was last season. Everything kind of got goofy at the end of the year. So at home last year, they were 20-17-4. So basically they won 20 games and they lost 21 by pure end result. On the road last year, they were 18-16-7. So, yeah, a better home record will be necessary if they're going to make the playoffs. All right, that wraps up this episode. We'll be back Friday when the Thursday, will take on the Devils. We'll wrap up the preseason, and we'll have some conversations for you coming up on Friday as well. Join us then on a brand new Flyers Daily.